Chapter 22 talks about making them identify with your choice. Basically, allowing your audience to see it from your perspective and how their original perspective just isn't appropriate or effective anymore. With irony, pointing out when something's ironic. So if the rich person is complaining about the poor person, pointing out the irony weakens their argument and their position. Think about the billionaire who just tweeted a picture of him on his $590 million yacht and said, yep, surviving the isolation. He had to delete his Twitter and Instagram because the fact of the matter is that a billionaire telling poor people how to survive right now, it's a little bit ironic. So by pointing that out, they were able to get their message across. Code inoculation is where you take out the sting of a word. I'm not going to agree with all forms of inoculation, but some of them can do their job. So with malaria, if you're going into a place that has malaria, they give you a shot that has a little bit of dead malaria in it, and then your body builds up the resistance it needs so that if you get bit by malaria mosquito, you don't get malaria. That's how code inoculation works. Say you're loud and sassy. If you constantly talk about how being loud and sassy is a good thing, you can take out the sting of it. Oh, Sabrina is full of humor, right? Well, that humor is a good thing, but if it's not perceived as a good thing, you have to do what you can to take out the sting of that word. Syllogisms, we add this major premise plus minor premise equals conclusion. Basically, oftentimes when someone's argument is weak, their syllogism is wrong. They have made two assumptions or an assumption that doesn't work. If you watch the movie The Great Debaters, she makes the argument that the poor are starving. And who are the poor? The unemployed, meaning that the unemployed are starving. And one of the debate members is an unemployed gentleman who's clearly not starving, so her syllogism falls apart. With inductive-deductive reasoning, this is two ways of looking at how we come to the conclusions that we do. So, say I walk into the classroom and somebody has murdered Zaza, dun dun dun. If I'm using inductive reasoning, I'm going to induce my conclusion. Induce meaning force, like with labor. So if I walk into the classroom and someone's murdered Zaza and I said, Lisa did it, now I have to prove it. And so then you go about finding the evidence to prove your conclusion that you have already forced. Deductive reasoning is the opposite. It's detective work. So I walk in, someone's murdered Zaza, and I dust for fingerprints. I take everyone's statements. I look at the secret video footage, and I say, I deduce that Lisa did it. So it goes from the general to a very specific conclusion. I'm going to put up a chart that has this inductive-deductive reasoning mapped out as the inverse of each other, which I really like that chart.